Today we're celebrating the 15th anniversary of Cars 2. It came out in theaters on June 24, 2011, and it's rated G by the MPA. The story leads that Finn McMissile are on a mission to find out what the bad cars are up to. Not just any bad cars, they called the Lemons, led by Professor Zoomdap. But unfortunately for him, he was the mysterious leader's second in command. Just then, he noticed that he's been spotted by the bad cars. Right after Finn find out about Mr. Agent Turbo's fate, he managed to escape, and the bad cars think Finn McMissile didn't make it. This went lucky for Professor Zoomdap. Who will stop him now? Meanwhile, in Radiator Springs, Mater gets to see Lightning McQueen again after his victory for the Hudson Hornet Piston Cup event for 1 year as a tribute, since Doc Hudson died before the events of the second film. Just then, he had a romance dinner with Sally at the Riowell Motel. Just then, the townsfolk of Radiator Springs watched the television event that the World Grand Prix was announced by Sir Miles Axelrod. And he has brought the famous Italian race cars in the world, Francisco Bernoulli. When Lightning heard something, he decided to join the race despite his get some rest. But Sally insisted. Just then, Lightning McQueen's about to get ready to race at the World Grand Prix. But first, they arrived on Tokyo and met some famous racers of the World Grand Prix. But just then, Mater went to the bathroom, and just then, one of the Lemons was disguised by Torquay Redline. Just then, he's been attacked by Gramenacer, and he gave the information to Mater. Just then, a female car named Holly Shifwell thinks Mater was a spy, which it wasn't actually true. And just then, Mater befriended her, and see him again another day. At the evil's lair, the bad cars interrogate Rod Redline, and had given a demonstration by using on and all for him, and also using their radiation gun disguised as TV cameras. And just then, as the answer's been revealed, they believe Mater was the American spy. But just then, Zoomdap executed Rod Redline in the process. And Rod Redline was never seen on Tokyo again. The next day, the World Grand Prix was about to begin, and Lightning was determined to beat Francisco Bernoulli in the first race. But unfortunately, something went wrong. As Gramenacer used the laser camera to shot one of the three racers of the World Grand Prix. That means McGill, Rip, and Max. And Mater was being radioed by Holly Shifwell to leave the pits, while Finn McMissile managed to take down other bad cars in Tokyo. But Mater ended up letting Francisco Bernoulli win the race instead, which angered Lightning, and he blames him for his mistakes, and he eventually ended don't want his help, and eventually storms off. Mater felt guilty for what he did from wrong choices. He didn't want to let Lightning lose the race to Francisco Bernoulli and the other races because of him. He decided it would be better off if he left. The next day, Mater managed to went back to the Tokyo International Airport to fly back home to Radiator Springs, but his flight was short-lived when he's been grabbed by Finn McMissile, and the bad cars Gramenacer chases him. And they went to Sydney, the spy jet, and Holly Shifwell was with him. Just then, they managed to escape. Back in Tokyo, Lightning read the goodbye letter from Mater, but Lightning was confused. He didn't want Mater to leave, but Luigi and Guido sobs. But Sarge and Fillmore don't know what else to do. But Lightning assures himself that he'll be home, that he'll be safe. But just then, Sydney, Finn, Holly, and Mater arrived on Paris to find some answers. Who belonged to a mysterious engine who was never been seen before. Just then, they found the answer and headed straight to Italy. But first, they had to give the disguise technology for Mater by pretending to be Eva, the tow truck. Meanwhile, when Lightning McQueen, Fillmore, Sarge, Luigi, and Greedo arrive on Italy and visit with Luigi's cousin Tony, and the other relatives. And just then, the second race of the World Grand Prix was scheduled on Italy. And Sir Miles Axelrod insisted that to the viewers that Onanol is completely safe. Just then, Lightning will have to stay focused about winning the race rather about thinking about Mater. And so he did. He stayed focused on winning the race and trying to catch up to Francisco Bernoulli. But just then, Mater replaces Eva to switch places, and he noticed all the bad cars are the most wanted criminals in the world. But just then, the leader car is coming, but it's not him. It's just Professor Zoomdap. But just then, the mysterious crime boss car with this guy's voice announced it could be the end of the Onanol. Just then, one of the few racers got blown up by the engine blown by the Onanol. It was the same laser camera by Gramenacer. Shoot to the rookie and Nine Joe Grizzly and the other racers. Finn McMissile tried to stop them, but it was no use. He's been captured in the process. And all the racers crashed at the casino bridge. Well, except for Jeff and Lewis, who were not involved in the crash. Well, good for them. And Lightning McQueen won the race of the World Grand Prix on Italy and finally beat Francisco Berardi, but the celebration was too short. The ambulance managed to rescue all the injured racers. But Lightning McQueen and Francisco Berardi was devastated about what happened. They didn't know what's going on because there's something wrong with the Onanol fuel. And just then, Sir Miles Axelrod announced all the racers will not be run by Onanol for the final race of London, which leads Professor Zoomdap and the Lemons cheers in victory. When Holly's about to order Mater to abort the mission to get Finn out, but unfortunately she's been captured too. And Mater saw Lightning on the news and that he decided to use Onanol for the final race despite ban Onanol, which angered the Lemons. And Professor Zoomdap orders that Lightning McQueen will be killed on the final race in London, which shocks Mater, but ended up exposing his secrets. But the bad cars spotted him and they tried to catch him, so Mater used his Gatorade gadgets that Holly gave to him. But Mater tried to warn Lightning, but it was no use. The bad cars and Professor Zoomdap captured him and knocked the tow truck out. Meanwhile, Mater woke up and Finn and Holly was with them. They'd been captured too. Just then, Mater blamed himself and he raised his voice that he's not a spy, which shocks Finn and Holly, finally believing he was telling the truth. Meanwhile, Sally, Ramon, Flo, and Red arrived just in the nick of time, because they're about to search some search parties to find Mater's whereabouts. But Sally insists that Lightning has to stay focused on the race, and Sir Miles Axelrod was pleased that Lightning should use Onanol for the final race. Just then, the race is on schedule in London. Who will see who will win the final race? But before the bad car succeeded, it did not explode. They didn't notice that Lightning was using a different Onanol. The different gasoline. Just then, they decide to go in the backup plan. When Mater uses gadgets is to break out the chains, he'll have an opportunity to warn Lightning about the sinister plot. And Finn and Holly manage to escape too. They discovered something terrible. The bad cars planted a bomb on Mater's hood. When Mater arrived, he was been radioed because he believed there's a bomb on him. He believed Finn was right. He decided to get away from Lightning as possible, but Lightning McQueen chases him. But Professor Zoomdab presses the button, but it did not explode. And Holly was about to overcome Zoomdab, and Zoomdab managed to escape, and Finn captured him and blew up the evil boat. And Holly disposes Gremanacer in the process. And Lightning was shocked that Professor Zoomdab was trying to kill him. And he believed there is a true bomb on Mater. And the bad cars got them surrounded until the townsfolk of Radiator Springs save them and defeat all the bad cars in the process, and join forces with Finn and Holly to save the day. But once Zoomdab and the other bad cars and the Lemons and Even was defeated, Mater knew who's responsible for the sabotage of the race. He decided to go back to the race track to inform the Queen who's responsible. Just then, they arrived, and the real criminal who's responsible for sabotage the World Grand Prix, and announced that the World Grand Prix was truly a setup. It was Sir Miles Axelrod, he was forced to deactivate the bomb, and the police arrested him, and his engines was exposed. And Lightning was pleased that he's coming to his races from now on, and he was knighted as Sir Tow Mater. But unfortunately, it was in the middle of the race, so no one knew who won the World Grand Prix. Just then, they went back to Radiator Springs and created the Radiator Springs Grand Prix. So the race has been scheduled with the other racers of the World Grand Prix and Francisco Bernoulli. And Finn and Holly get to say goodbye to Mater. And just then, he joined the race with Lightning. And that's how the movie ended. So yeah, I did see the movie in theaters years ago when I was young, been in Spanish, but I wish I could see it again, but this time in English. The same things in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, that is. So let me know in the comments and leave a like, and this is Minion Fan 1024 signing off.